There are times when history itself seems to falter, when the world wavers like a wounded giant. The 3rd century of the Christian era was one of those moments. Historians speak of it as a time of deep crisis. In the span of just 50 years, more than 20 emperors rose and fell at the head of the Roman Empire, most of them assassinated or overthrown. On the borders, the Goths, the Franks, and the Alemanni pressed from the west, while in the east the formidable Sassanids launched their assaults. The economy collapsed, the currency became worthless, and the countryside lay open to pillage. And yet, was this truly the most fearsome enemy? No, for the deadliest blow came not from the sword, but from an invisible foe: the plague. After the devastating Antonine plague of the 2nd century, a new epidemic arose in Ethiopia around Easter of the year 250. Within months it spread, to Rome in 251, then to Greece, Syria, and across the whole of the Mediterranean basin. History would remember it as the Plague of Cyprian. What was said at the time? Saint Cyprian of Carthage wrote in his letters of thousands dying each day. High fevers, diarrhea, ulcers, paralysis, a swift and brutal illness. Incurable. Some would later suspect smallpox, others a hemorrhagic fever, perhaps even a cousin of the Ebola virus. Cities emptied. Administrations crumbled. The army could no longer recruit. Fear set in. People searched for meaning, for explanations, for hope. Is this not what we ourselves experienced not so long ago during the COVID-19 pandemic? As in ancient times, the virus laid bare our fragility, both individual and collective. And in this shadowed context, what of Pomaria, the Roman city at the far southwest of the empire? Was it spared? Unlikely. But though the plague was terrible, was it truly the cause of death for the couple Rogatus? Nothing confirms it. No evidence allows us to say so with certainty. Which other path, then, should we explore? A subtler, insidious, yet equally fatal hypothesis emerges: lead poisoning. Satanism. Why this illness? Because in the Roman Empire, lead was everywhere, especially among the wealthy. The city's water pipes, particularly those fed by aqueducts, were made of lead. Wine was sweetened with sapa, a syrup obtained by reducing grape must in lead cauldrons, producing lead acetate. Pleasant to the taste, but highly toxic. Cosmetics, powders, wall paints, all often contained lead. Wealthy families, like the Rogatus, lived in this refined and poisoned comfort. Year after year, the toxin accumulated in the body slowly, silently. One day, persistent fatigue, abdominal pain, muscle weakness. The couple consults their physician. He examines them carefully, but it is already too late. The affliction runs deep. The only remedy? Rest. Nothing more. Days pass. Their breath weakens. Feeling the end approach, they summon their children, entrust them with their wishes, and then fade away, one after the other. Silence. Then weeping. The mourners are called. Clad in black, they wail, scratch their faces, tear at their hair. Roman mourning demanded sound, spectacle, drama. On the day of the burial, the sun sinks low. The bodies lie upon a wooden bier in the atrium, side by side, united in death as in life. The procession takes form. At the head, the mourners, then the bearers of the imagines, masks of illustrious ancestors. Next comes the couple, carried upon a richly adorned bier, dressed in tunics embroidered with gold, crowned with laurel. Behind them march the musicians, flutes, trumpets with solemn notes. Finally, the family follows, clad in mourning, silent. The procession leaves the villa, crosses the peaceful streets of Pomaria bathed in twilight, and advances toward the necropolis, beyond the Pomerium. Before the tomb, the torches flicker. Faces are grave. Silence absolute. Felicianus, their son, steps forward, a cup of wine in hand. His voice trembles as he speaks, paying homage. Then, as the rite demands, he pours the wine onto the ground, a libation of farewell. The bodies are laid to rest in their tomb. The vault is sealed, and the living return to the city, as dawn brushes the hills. A few days later, Felicianus walks through Pomaria in search of a stonemason. All are overwhelmed with work. One accepts nevertheless, in gratitude for the favors once received from the deceased. Thus ended the final journey of the couple Rogatus, accompanied by chants, masks, flutes, and incense. Pomaria honored its own in the solemnity of Twilight. And today, in that same earth, which centuries later became Christian, then Muslim, the rites have changed. The procession is silent. No mourners, no musicians, no masks. Only men in prayer, shoulders baring, hearts reciting. There is no God but God. Time has changed the gestures, not the grief. And beneath the same sky, among olive trees and weathered stones, the dead rest with other hopes. Here ends this episode, in which I have spoken of the dangers of lead. In the next, I will continue this reflection by turning to the possible presence of galena deposits, the ore from which lead is extracted around Pomaria, and to the ways in which the ancients mined and transformed it.